Hi, my name is Lily Rose Fitzmaurice, and I graduated from a BA in Liberal Arts with the University of Warwick in 2020. My specialist pathway was psychodynamic and interdisciplinary approaches to childhood and education. And since then, I took a year out to work remotely. So I've been working with the university through the Institute of Advanced Teaching and Learning. And I've also been working on a few research papers with academics, both within and outside of Warwick. And then this coming October, I'll be starting at the University of Cambridge for an integrated MPhil and PhD, where I'll be looking at cultural constructions of children and childhood, and how these are presented in children's literature and how these cultural constructions translate into kind of early education settings. What advice would you give to our current students studying liberal arts? I think in regards to picking modules, maybe don't get too caught up in content alone. You can take a module because it will offer you an introduction to a certain theorist that you think will be interesting for your area of research. It'll offer you certain skill sets. You like the assessment type. I think because in liberal arts you're always trying to work towards this research area. So obviously that does involve wanting to gain certain knowledge of content in certain areas, but I think that also really does involve making sure that you have certain skill sets, and making sure that you have those kind of holistic skills. So it could be like, obviously with liberal arts we do a lot of problem-based learning, but for me, yeah, there were a number of modules that I decided to take because they offered me the opportunity to explore a certain theorist, for example, that I thought I could draw into. Or for example, I mean, a good one would be that in Art and Revolution we look at Rousseau, who is really significant in education theory and is someone that I've had to draw on quite a bit since. Even though when we were studying him in Art and Revolution, it was in a different context and for different reasons. But again, you're always pulling on these things. So I think don't get so caught up in necessarily like the name of a module, because there's always ways that you'll bring in your own interests, and also bring in your interests. That would be advice I would give. Always try and bring it back to what you're trying to work towards. In regards to advice as well, I would say, like I was saying before about how you should bring your own interests into modules. Also remember that when you do that, it's not just for, not just an assessment, but also in the class. Bring in what you're learning in other modules into the class discussion, because that also helps in how the dialogue is formed in the class between peers. And you get to learn from one another as well, because you're all taking different modules in different parts of the university. I think one of the core things in any kind of interdisciplinary practice is that, of course, you can't know everything about every subject. So it's about what you do with the content, not about how much content you know or how you've learned it off. You're very rarely in liberal arts be asked to like memorize things, because it's not about that. It's much more about how you are able to work with the information that you're given. And also as well, so because different members of the department will be working, or different, your colleagues, your peers will be working in different subject areas, it also, in group assessments and things, it gives you the opportunity to work together and bring in what you've learned from different departments. So one of you may have a specialist area in economics, one of you may be studying a lot in sociology and politics, and it gives you the opportunity for different members of say a group project, a group presentation, to draw on those different disciplines to create a really whole, holistic, thoughtful approach to a problem, recognizing that you each will have different things to bring into the kind of interdisciplinary conversation. So yeah, I would say also just recognizing that when you're bringing those different disciplinary areas in, it's not just for you and your assessments, but it also helps the class work together in those kind of dynamics of conversation that I think are really critical and significant, and I really value in the kind of seminar approach to liberal arts at Warwick. You will very rarely have like lectures. Obviously you will when you join the bigger department, so if you're taking like a philosophy module or something, but in liberal arts itself, it's pretty much all I think actually just all seminar based. So it's all kind of small problem solving settings essentially. So you'll have seminars where you'll be asked to look at different readings, and then come to class with you, bringing in readings that you may have found yourself, as well as readings that may have been set, and kind of co-constructing that conversation about the topic. And often as well, the tutors will kind of invite students to also help create the direction of the module itself. So I know, say for example, in Underworlds, Brian would often ask us, okay, these are the options. What would you rather study this, or would you rather study this, or is there a topic in kind of the Underworld's arching theme that isn't in the current isn't in the current curriculum for this module this term, that you'd like to look at? How can we bring that in? What would you rather do? And one of the things I loved about Underworlds was every week we had there was a blog where you would write down it's like a reflective blog essentially. You'd write down reflections on what you've been learning as a whole, and then those reflections would guide the conversation at the beginning of the next week. So you'd have those finished for the weekend, and then on Monday we would begin each week looking at the reflections and drawing on those and seeing how we can tie those into the conversation that week. So that also gave a real feeling as though you were a part of creating the class, the kind of the itinerary, the route that was being taken. And that's something I really, really appreciated and valued, and something that I felt often in the liberal arts modules, that you were a part of the direction and progression of the module. So I rarely ever felt like it was just a matter of, oh, we get to the final week and it's like, okay, what's your feedback? Oh, well, I guess the next cohort will maybe get the kind of, we'll see the benefits of that feedback. You always felt like the tutors were trying during the module to listen to your perspectives and thoughts, and how can we make this better, and how can we improve, and what would you like, and how can we do that? So yeah, that was really, really valuable, and I really appreciated that as well.